The door creaked open just as I peeled off my sweat-soaked jersey, the fabric slapping against the dorm room floor like a confession I wasn't ready to make. There he was, Carter, my roommate, my anchor through 4 years of gridiron hell and late-night confessions, leaning against the frame, his blue eyes locked on me, not with the casual bro glance we'd perfected, but with a hunger that stripped me bare before my jeans even hit my ankles. I caught my friend watching me change, and I didn't stop, leaving us both speechless, the air thick with the scent of turf and the weight of what we'd buried under beer pong and high fives. That moment hung between us like the final seconds of a tied game, every muscle in my body screaming to bolt or swing or just shatter the silence. But I didn't. I stood there, heart hammering against my ribs, fingers fumbling with the button of my fly as if challenging him, challenging us, to name the beast we'd both been feeding in secret. Carter's breath hitched, audible over the distant hum of the frat house party downstairs, and for a split second, I saw it, the crack in his armor, the boy who'd grown up quoting Reagan and tackling quarterbacks now unraveling at the sight of my skin. He swallowed hard, Adam's apple bobbing like a lifeline he couldn't reach, and whispered, "Mason." "Shit, man, But the words died, swallowed by the roar in my ears. I'm Mason Riley, 22 years old, built like the All-American linebacker I was, 6'2", broad shoulders scarred from too many hits, and a smile that could charm a sorority girl or a scout into signing me on the spot. Grew up in the Rust Belt sprawl of Pittsburgh, where steel mills coughed black smoke and dads like mine worked doubles to keep the lights on. Football was my ticket out, my religion, the one place where sweat and strategy drowned out the questions I'd been shoving down since high school showers turned my gaze lingering too long on the curve of a teammate's back. College at State U in upstate New York was supposed to be the dream. Ivy-draped quads, endless keggers, and a shot at the pros. Instead, it was me and Carter Hayes, crammed into a shoebox dorm that smelled like Axe body spray and unspoken regrets. Carter was the golden boy from the Hamptons, tall, lean like a surfer who'd traded waves for weights, with that effortless charm that made professors laugh and girls and guys, if you paid attention, blush. We met freshman year at Rush Week, bonding over shitty tequila and a shared hatred for our chem TA. He was straight edge on paper, poli-sci major dreaming of Capitol Hill, captain of the debate team, the guy who'd quote MLK in a locker room pep talk without it sounding forced. But off the record, late nights when the campus slept, we'd crack open a six-pack and talk real, about his absentee senator dad who treated family like a campaign stop, about my mom's slow fade from cancer that left me with a stack of medical bills and a dad who drowned in Bud Light. We'd laugh. We'd rage. We'd lean a little too close on that lumpy couch, shoulders brushing like static electricity. That afternoon, though, wasn't just another post-practice haze. We'd crushed Penn State on the field, me sacking their QB in the fourth for the win, the crowd's roar still echoing in my bones. The team had dragged us to O'Malley's for wings and shots, but Carter bailed early, muttering about a paper. I stumbled back to the dorm solo, buzzed and bruised, peeling off layers like shedding a skin I couldn't stand anymore. And there he was. The silence stretched, broken only by the drip of the leaky faucet in our bathroom. I finally zipped up, slow, deliberate, grabbing a towel from the chair like nothing had happened. "You gonna stand there all night, Hayes? Or help me hide the evidence of that hit?" My voice came out rough, laced with that fake bravado we'd mastered, but my hands shook as I knotted the terry cloth around my waist. He pushed off the doorframe, rubbing the back of his neck, cheeks flushed under that perpetual 5 o'clock shadow. Dude, I, I thought you were at the bar. Door was cracked. The knob had been turned. I'd heard the click. But calling him on it felt like kicking a puppy. His eyes were wide, pupils blown like he'd mainlined the adrenaline we both chased on Saturdays. Yeah, well, surprise. I forced a grin, but it cracked at the edges. We moved like ghosts around each other, me tossing my gear into the hamper, him sinking onto his bed, pulling out his laptop like a shield. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in with posters of Ollie and Springsteen staring down like judgmental uncles. Minutes ticked by, the party bass thumping up through the floorboards, until he slammed the screen shut. Mason, his voice was low, edged with that East Coast clip that always made my name sound like a dare. What the hell was that? I froze, back to him, staring at my reflection in the foggy mirror, chest heaving, a fresh bruise blooming purple across my ribs. What was what? You barging in on my striptease? Happens to the best of us. Don't. He was on his feet now, crossing the room in 2 strides, close enough I could smell his cedar cologne mixed with the faint tang of fear sweat. You know what I mean. You didn't. You just kept going. Like you wanted me to see. The words landed like a blindside tackle, knocking the air from my lungs. I turned, meeting his gaze, stormy blue, searching, pleading for me to deny it, to laugh it off, to keep us safe in the straitjacket of friendship. But the truth clawed up my throat, hot and inevitable. And if I did, what then? Carter, you gonna run to the RA and report me for indecent exposure? Or just pretend you didn't feel it too? His jaw tightened, fists balling at his sides. Feel what? That you're my best friend. And I've been lying to myself since sophomore year about why I can't stop thinking about you. The confession burst out like a dam breaking, raw and ragged, and he stepped closer, invading my space, our breaths mingling in the charged air. Time fractured. 1 second, we were statues, the next, his hand was on my arm, fingers digging in like anchors, and I surged forward, crashing our mouths together in a kiss that tasted like salt and salvation. It was messy, desperate, teeth clashing, tongues warring for dominance, my towel slipping forgotten to the floor. His hands roamed, up my back, nails scraping scars from old tackles, while I fisted his shirt, yanking him flush against me, the hard line of him pressing insistent through denim. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, his whisper hot against my lips. Fuck, Mason. This is us. This is real. But real in America, especially our slice of it, where rainbow flags flew at Pride but vanished come game day, was a minefield. We dove in anyway, that night blurring into a tangle of limbs and low moans, the dorm walls muffling our secrets. By dawn, tangled in sheets that smelled like us, I traced the freckles across his collarbone and thought, this is what I've been running toward my whole life. The weeks that followed were a fever dream wrapped in flannel and football pads, every stolen glance in the locker room a spark to dry tinder. Carter and I navigated it like pros, high fives for the cameras, but under the bleachers after practice, his hand would slip into mine, thumb stroking knuckles in silent promise. We'd sneak off to the old mill ruins by the Chenango River, where rusted girders framed the Hudson Valley's fiery autumn leaves, and there, away from the brothers and the bets, we'd unravel each other slow and thorough. His laugh against my neck, the way he'd murmur policy debates mid-kiss like foreplay, God, it was everything. Human, messy, alive. But cracks spiderwebbed early. It started with whispers in the weight room. Hayes and Riley? Nah, they're just tight. Like brothers. Except Jake, the tank Harlan. Our defensive end with a nose for bullshit and a homophobic streak wider than the goalposts. Caught us once. Not the act. Thank Christ. Just Carter's arm slung too casual over my shoulders post-shower, lingering a beat too long. Tank's eyes narrowed, and by Monday, the team chat buzzed with memes. Rainbow helmets photoshopped on our faces. Caption, secret weapon? Carter brushed it off at first. That politician's poise kicking in. Ignore the idiots, he'd say, pressing a quick kiss to my temple in the dim of our room before dawn practice. But I saw the toll, the way his debates sharpened to knives, slicing opponents with facts like he was proving something bigger. His dad called twice a week now, the senator's voice booming through speakerphone about internships in D.C. Legacy. Optics. You're the future, son. Don't squander it on distractions. Carter would mute, pull me close, but the words lingered like exhaust fumes. For me, it was simpler and sharper. Dad's weekly check-ins from the Berg, voice gravelly from smokes and shifts. How's the team, kid? Scouting you yet? No room for hey. Pops, I'm gay and in love with my roommate. Mom's ghost hovered too. Her Bible on the nightstand, dog-eared at Corinthians. The verses about love being patient. Kind. She'd have gotten it. I think she saw too much in her ER shifts not to. But Dad? He'd built his world on Steelers games and straight-laced Sundays. Telling him felt like fumbling the snap in overtime. We almost came clean once. That crisp November Saturday after we edged Cornell 24-21. The adrenaline crash hit hard. The team piled into the Rusty Anchor, a dive bar off campus where the beer was cheap and the jukebox spun Springsteen on loop. Carter and I claimed our corner booth, knees knocking under the scarred oak table, his boot hooking mine in a secret Morse code. Tank lumbered over, 3 sheets to the wind, slamming a pitcher down. To the dynamic duo, Riley and Hayes saving our asses again. What's your secret? Huh? Late-night strategy sessions? His grin was all teeth. I slitting like he was baiting a hook. I laughed it off, clinking glasses. Nah, man. Just Mason's mom making killer pierogies. Fuels the fire. But Carter tensed beside me, his smile a rictus. Tank leaned in, voice dropping to that locker room growl. Yeah? Or is it something? Closer to home? Saw you two getting cozy in the showers. Real bromance shit. The bar noise faded to a buzz, my pulse thundering. Carter's hand found my thigh under the table. Squeeze. Hold. But his voice was ice. Back off. Tank. Not everything's a punchline. Tank barked a laugh, spilling foam as he retreated, but the seed was planted. Whispers followed us out into the lot, where frost crunched under tires and our breath fogged the air. In the truck, Carter's beat-up Ford, a hand-me-down from his uncle, we sat idling, engine rumbling like unspoken thunder. He's full of shit, I said, but my gut twisted. Betrayal's a slow poison. You don't taste it till it's in your veins. Carter gripped the wheel, knuckles white. I know. But if it spreads, he trailed off, eyes on the dashboard glow. Dad's pulling strings for that Rhodes interview. If they dig, forget it. I covered his hand, pulling it to my lips, kissing the calluses from debate podium grips. We're solid. You and me against the world, right? Like that time we ditched Chem for the drive-in, watching Ghostbusters till sunrise. He softened, leaning across the console to claim my mouth. Deep, anchoring, tasting of IPA and home. Yeah. Against the world. We drove back slow, windows down to the chill bite, his free hand tracing patterns on my thigh that promised more once we locked the door. But the world has a way of crashing the party. Tuesday practice. Coach pulls me aside after drills. Riley, word from upstairs. Scouts sniffing around, NFL pipeline. Kid. But keep your head down. No drama. His eyes flick to Carter across the field, barking orders at the freshman. Drama. Like we were a tabloid headline waiting to drop. That night, Carter's phone lit up, Senator Hayes, the caller ID mocking. He answered in the hall, voice low, but walls are thin. No, Dad, it's fine. Just team stuff. Yeah, Mason's solid. Best friend a guy's got. Pause. Laughter. Forced. Optics? Come on. It's college. No one's watching, but someone was. And when he slipped back in, face ashen, he didn't meet my eyes. What's up? I asked. From the bed where I'd been scrolling film, pretending normalcy. Nothing. Dad being dad. He stripped down, efficient, avoiding my gaze as he slid under the covers. No touch, no tease, just the gulf widening between us. I rolled toward him, propping on an elbow. Carter. Talk, he sighed, staring at the ceiling cracks. He wants me home for Thanksgiving. Early flight. Says it's networking, but it's a donor gala. The kind where everyone smiles for the cameras and whispers about the family name. And, my chest tightened, the holiday we'd half planned, me crashing his beach house, turkey and truth bombs, evaporating. And he asked about you. Casual. Like, that Riley kid still dragging you down? Carter's voice cracked, mimicking the disdain. I told him you're gold. But Dad. He hears things. From his sources at the university. Whispers about the team. About us. The room spun. Betrayal. Sharp as a stiletto. Not from Carter, but from the machine he'd been groomed to feed. So what? You gonna let him? No. He bolted up, eyes fierce. I'm not hiding us. Not from him, not from anyone, but doubt flickered, a shadow in his blue. We made love then, fierce, reclaiming, my body pinning his to the mattress as he gasped my name like a prayer. After, tangled and spent, he whispered, I love you, Mace. First time saying it sober. My heart swelled, but the words echoed hollow against the storm brewing outside our walls. Thanksgiving loomed like a guillotine. I flew solo to Pittsburgh, Dad's garage apartment a tomb of takeout boxes and muted TV reruns. Team treating you right? He grunted over Ken Chili, eyes on the Steelers' highlights. Yeah, Pops. Real good. Lie sat heavy. I choked it down with beer. Nights. I texted Carter grainy pics of pierogies, heart emojis hidden in memes, but his replies lagged. Clipped. Gala's a zoo. Miss you. Then radio silence. 3 days of it. My thumb hovering over call, till pride locked it away. He broke it on Black Friday. Voicemail crackling. Mace, we need to talk. Dad knows. Call me. My stomach plummeted, the phone slipping from numb fingers. Betrayal's face. Not a knife, but a slow bleed. Pittsburgh's winter bit early that year. Steel gray skies dumping sleet that turned the Monongahela into a churning beast. mirroring the churn in my gut as I paced Dad's linoleum, replaying Carter's message on loop. Dad knows. 3 words. A grenade. I dialed, breath fogging the kitchen window where rusted fire escapes clawed at brick tenements. No answer. Text. What the fuck? Hayes? Call me. Nothing. By midnight, the silence screamed louder than any tackle. Dawn broke brittle, Dad's cough rattling from the recliner as I bolted for the airport. Red-eye standby. Credit card maxed from nursing shifts last summer. The flight was a blur of recycled air and regret. My reflection in the tray table a ghost. Hollow cheeks. Eyes ringed black from no sleep. D.C. Reagan National spat me out into a marble mausoleum of suits and secrets. The cab ride to his family's Georgetown brownstone, a gauntlet of holiday lights mocking my dread. Carter answered the door barefoot, in rumpled Oxford and slacks, hair a wreck like he'd been raking fingers through it for days. Mace. His voice broke, pulling me into the foyer before the word finished. Door slamming like a full stop. We collided, arms crushing, mouths desperate, the kiss tasting of bourbon and tears. Upstairs, in the guest room with its 4-poster and view of fog-shrouded spires, he spilled it all. Monday night, post-gala, caviar and congressmen, Dad schmoozing donors while Mom nursed a flute of something bubbly and distant. Carter, cornered by a family friend. Some Fox News hack with a comb-over and a nose for dirt. Heard whispers from upstate. Hayes Jr. Your little team's got a fairy tale brewing. That Riley boy your shadow? Better watch your step. Legacies don't survive scandals. Carter laughed it off. But Dad overheard. Pulled him into the study for a chat. He didn't yell, Carter murmured, tracing my collarbone as we lay spent on silk sheets that smelled of lavender and lies. Worse. He dissected it. Son, ambition's a ladder, climb with clean hands. This phase, it's a rung you'll regret. Carter's voice hollowed, mimicking the paternal chill. Said he'd pull funding from state, use poli-sci if I didn't course correct. End it. Clean. Rage boiled up, hot as blast furnace slag. And you? What did you say? He met my eyes, blue fractured like ice on the Potomac. Told him to go to hell. That you're not a phase, you're it. The real deal. Pride swelled, but it curdled quick. But Mace. The interview. Rhodes. It's not just me. It's Mom's pride. The firm handshake network that's kept us afloat since the divorce. Betrayal's twist. Not outright, but the erosion. The if-onlys chipping at our foundation. I cupped his face, thumbs brushing stubble. Then we fight. Tell the team. The scouts, screw the optics. Love like this, it's worth the hit. He nodded, but dawn brought the hammer. Over coffee in the sunroom, porcelain cups clinking like fragile truces, Senator Hayes entered, tailored suit impeccable, smile a scalpel. Mason. Pleasure. Handshake firm, eyes appraising like livestock at auction. Carter speaks highly. Football star. Ever think policy? Gridiron's no match for governance. I mumbled pleasantries, gut roiling, but he pivoted smooth to Carter. Flights at noon. Son. State you awaits, no detours. The subtext landed. Leave the detour here. Carter stiffened, but nodded, gaze on his mug. Me? I was dismissed. Cab fare slipped into my palm like hush money. Back at state, the campus sprawled under hoarfrost, quad lamps haloed in mist. Tank cornered me in the Union, breath reeking of stale natty light. Heard Hayes ditched you for daddy's DC glory. Bummer, bro. Need a wingman? His smirk said he knew more, whispers metastasizing. I shoved past, shoulder-checking hard enough to rattle his tray, but the damage festered. Carter landed that night, crashing into my arms at the dorm with apologies and urgency. Hands everywhere, reclaiming territory. It's us, Mace. Fuck him. We burned through the weekend in a haze of skin and secrets, but Monday's debate tourney pulled him away, weak in Philly. Mock Congress with Ivy hopefuls. Video every night, he promised, kissing me goodbye at the Greyhound, wind whipping scarves and leaves. Alone, the room echoed, his sides stripped bare, cologne fading like a bruise. Practice turned brutal. Coach amped drills, scouts' eyes from the sidelines dissecting every sprint. Tank's jabs sharpened. Where's your cheerleader? Riley, off polishing his halo. Laughter rippled, but I held form, hits landing harder to drown the noise. Midweek, the bomb dropped. Anonymous email to the team list, grainy pic from the mill ruins. Us, blurred but unmistakable, tangled on a plaid blanket under October stars. No note, just the image, time-stamped like evidence. My phone exploded. Texts from bros. WTF dude? This real. Coach's office. 8 a.m. sharp. Explain. I sat stone-faced. The pic pulled up on his laptop like a crime scene. It's real. Coach. Carter and me, we're together. He leaned back, chair creaking, face a map of weathered lines. Ex-Marine, whistle around his neck like a noose. Son, football's a brotherhood. This, it divides. Pause. Heavy. Sit the next game. Injury gives you space to sort. Like we were laundry, not lives. I nodded numb, bolting to the lot where snow flurries danced like confetti for a funeral. Called Carter voicemail. Text out. Pic leaked. Coach benched. His reply pinged hours later. Mid-Philly, on my way. Love you. But love's a fragile shield when betrayal wears a familiar face. That night, Tank texted, knew it. Your boy's the leak, daddy's orders. Bullshit. I thought, deleting it. But doubt rooted, thorns twisting. Carter burst back Friday. Philly be damned. Tackling me onto the bed with ferocity that bordered frenzy. We'll sue. Go public, whatever it takes. His kisses bruised. Insistent. But his eyes darted to the door. The window like phantoms lurked. I pulled him close, whispering plans into his hair. Pride March on campus. Coming out op-ed in the paper. He nodded, but sleep brought murmurs. Can't lose it all. Not yet. Saturday scrimmage. I watched from the bleachers, ghost on the sidelines. Pads unused. Team faltered without me. Carter subbed in at safety. Hits glancing off like regrets. Post whistle. He jogged over. Sweat streaked. Gloves off to lace fingers with mine public for the first time. We're okay, he said. Loud enough for stragglers. But Tank's glare from the tunnel said otherwise. That evening, the reckoning. Carter's phone rang, Senator. Again. He took it in the hall, but I followed, ear to the wood. I handled it. That. The pic? Anonymous. Laughter. Cold. Anonymous? Please, son. I have people. A quiet word to the dean, and poof, scandal contained. But Mason, he's a liability. Cut ties, or the roads vanishes. Your future, not his fantasy. Silence stretched. Then Carter's voice. Small. You do that? Blackmail your own son. For your good. Yes. Think legacy, Carter. Not lust. The door flew open. I stumbled in, face burning. You son of a bitch. But it was Carter I stared at. Pale. Shattered. Phone limp in his grip. Mace. He reached. But I jerked back. Did you know? The pic? Your dad. No. God. No. Tears welled. But his flinch screamed guilt. He offered to fix it. I said no. But the word hung. Accusatory. But he reminded me what's at stake. The interview. The firm. Betrayal crystallized. Not the act. But the hesitation. The but. So I'm the sacrifice? For your ladder. He crumpled. Knees to carpet. I love you. More than. Love doesn't bench itself. I grabbed my duffel. Stuffing socks and secrets. Fix your legacy. Hayes. I'm out. Snow howled outside as I fled. Dorm lights blurring to streaks. The river called dark. Indifferent, and I walked its edge. Fists clenched against the cold that seeped bone deep. The Chenango froze in patches that December. Jagged ice like shattered glass under street lamps. Mirroring the fractures in my chest as I trudged back from the river's indifferent roar. Campus lay hushed under a fresh blanket. Quad paths unplowed. Evergreens bowed heavy. The kind of quiet that amplifies heartbreaks into symphonies. I bypassed the dorm, its window glowing like a taunt, and crashed at Jake's off-campus crash pad. A Victorian split into ratty apartments, walls thin as undergrad egos, air thick with weed and unspoken sympathy. Jake, not Tank. Thank God. But quiet Jake, the backup corner who sketched comics in the margins of playbooks, opened the door in boxers and a faded Zeppelin tee. No questions. Couch is yours, man. Beer in the fridge. We nursed cans in silence. TV droning ESPN highlights I couldn't watch. My phone dark since the blowout. Carter's texts piled up unread. Please. Talk. I ended it with him. Love you. Mace, fight for us. Fight. The word mocked. Echoing Dad's old mantra. Rylus don't quit the line. But this line? Blurred by love's blind side. By dawn. Jake stirred eggs, burnt edges, runny yolks, and muttered, heard about the pick. Teams split. Tank's an ass. But coach. He's old school. Give it time. Time. America's great equalizer. Or so they say. But in the rust of rejection, it rusts you faster. I skipped practice, holing up with textbooks I couldn't focus on. Poli-sci notes blurring to Carter's scrawl in the margins. CP. 47 MLK on justice. Justice felt like a joke. A punchline in a league where queers were footnotes. Words spread osmotic. Whispers in the CAF. Stares in the stacks. A freshman wide out cornered me by the vending machines. That true? Riley, you and Hayes. Eyes wide. Not hate, but curiosity laced with awe. That's badass. Man. Like, real. I nodded, throat tight, and for the first time, the weight lightened a fraction. Human threads weaving unexpected. Carter tried the direct assault Monday. Ambushed me post-seminar. Rain sheeting off his parka like tears he wouldn't shed. Mace, hear me out. His hair plastered dark. blue eyes storm-swollen. We ducked into the library alcove, stacks of forgotten theses shielding us like flimsy alibis. You chose? I spat, arms crossed against the chill seeping from stone floors. Legacy over us. I chose you. He stepped close, voice a raw edge. Called Dad after you left. Told him I'm gay. In love. Done climbing his ladder. Hung up on his threats. Proof. Forwarded email. Rhodes app withdrawn, personal reasons. It's over. All of it. My resolve cracked. But suspicion lingered. Betrayal's aftertaste bitter. And the team? Coach? Fuck him. I'll transfer. Coach Pee Wee, whatever. As long as it's with you. His hand ghosted my sleeve. Plea in the tremble. I pulled him into the shadows. Mouths meeting soft at first, testing. Tasting truth. Deepened. Hands fisting hoodies. The alcove a cocoon against the world. Prove it. I whispered against his lip. Public. Tonight. He nodded. Fierce. The anchor. Tell the team. Word rocketed. By happy hour. The dive swelled. Bros crammed shoulder to shoulder. Tank hulking at the bar like a bad omen. Carter and I walked in linked. Deliberate. The jukebox crooning Thunder Road, like prophecy. Heads turned. Murmurs dying to a hush. Coach nursed a scotch in the corner. Eyes narrowing over his glass. We claimed the stage. Mike from open mic night. Carter's debate poise kicking in. Listen up, he started. Voice steady. My hand anchor in his. Rumors. Pics, it's all true. Mason and I, we're together. Gay. In love. The whole rom-com. Laughter rippled. Nervous. But he plowed on. Football's family. But family's gotta evolve. No more hiding. Who's with us? Silence. Electric. Then Jake hooped. Fist pumping. About damn time. Cheers erupted, claps. Backslaps. Tank slinking out mid-roar. Tail tucked. Coach rose slow. Weaving through the throng. Hand extended. Guts. Boys. Guts. Grip firm. No words wasted. But the nod said volumes. You're in. The night blurred to toasts and tears. Springsteen on repeat. Carter's head on my shoulder as snow piled outside. Human triumph. Raw and real, America's messy heart beating proud. But betrayal's shadow lingers. Coiled. Finals week. I aced stats but bombed a pop quiz in ethics. Mind adrift on what-ifs. Carter buried in apps, grad school now. Poli-sci at NYU. Building our future. Not his. We'd sneak to the ruins. Blankets and bourbon. Mapping dreams under stars that felt closer post-coming out. Christmas called Divergent. Me to Pittsburgh. Him to the Hamptons for a ceasefire with Mom. Dad disinvited. Bridges scorched. Dad picked me up at the airport. His old Caprice rattling over potholes. Silence thick as the chilly steam from Tupperware on the dash. Heard about the team drama, he grunted finally. Eyes on the road. That Hayes kid, my gut nodded. Yeah. We're together. Brake lights flared at the red. His knuckles blanching on the wheel. Together. Echo. Flat. Then. Soft. Your ma. God rest her. Always said love's the hardest hit. She loved you fierce. Kid. No matter. Tear tracks glistened on his cheek. First I'd seen since her funeral. We sat idling. Engine ticking. Until he clapped my shoulder. Awkward. But there. Proud of you, Mace. Steelers tickets for New Year's. Relief flooded. Warm as hearth fire. Human mending. Stitch by stitch. Hamptons hit Carter harder. Mom's embrace. Wine-fueled confessions. But Dad's absence a ghost at the table, letters via courier. All business, tuition covered. No further contact. Carter called me New Year's Eve. Voice slurred on champagne. He wrote me off. Like a bad poll. But under it, steel, freeze us. First holiday ours next year. We rang in the eve apart but synced. Me at Dad's. Cracking beers to the ball drop, him on the beach. Toes in surf. Phone pressed close. To us, we toasted across miles. The promise electric. Spring semester dawn thawed. Campus greening tentative under meltwater streams. Football ramped, scouts thicker. Whispers to cheers. The duo. Carter joined sidelines. Water boy turned hype man. Our high fives laced with heat. But under the bloom. Thorns. Tank transferred out. Rumor mill churning a hate crime vandalism on our door. Fags in red spray. Anonymous again. Cops shrugged. Kids being kids. But Carter's eyes hardened. Channeling it to a campus op-ed. Out and unbroken. Why sports needs to catch up. Published in the paper. Syndicated to SI Online. It went viral, likes from Glad. Retweets from LeBron. Suddenly, interviews. NPR morning slots. Podcasters probing the gay gridiron. Fame's double edge. Validation laced with voyeurism. A scout pulled me aside post-drill. Great story, Riley. But prose? Closets are deeper. Doubt crept. Betrayal's echo, societies. Not personal. Climax brewed that April. Rivalry week against Syracuse. Our stadium packed. Air electric with rivalry and rain. Pre-game. Huddle tight. Coaches pep raw. Play for each other. No holds barred. Carter in the stands. Sign handmade. Riley's got Hayes' back. My heart surged. Pads a second skin. The game was carnage. Mudslick field. Hits thunderous under floodlights. I sacked their QB twice. But third quarter. Blindside. Syracuse linebacker. 250 pounds of fury. Driving me into turf. Crack, helmet to shoulder. World tilting white. Carted off. Crowds roar fading to tunnel vision blur. Medics barking vitals. Sidelines. Carter vaulting rails. Face ashen. Hands trembling as he gripped mine. Stay with me, Mace. You hear. His voice cracked. Love stripped bare for cameras flashing like vultures. R confirmed. Separated shoulder. Concussion light. But the hit? Tank's parting gift. He'd whispered from the shadows pre-kickoff. Watch your six. Fairy. Betrayal full circle. The leak. The vandalism, his fingerprints smudged but sure. Rage simmered through recovery, PT sessions grinding. Carter my constant. Ice packs and incentives. Kisses that mended faster than meds. We pressed charges. Tank cracked under questioning. Spilling Dad Hayes' anonymous tip as leverage. Senator denied. Lawyers swarming. But the op-eds wave-crested. Donations to campus LGBTQ orgs. Coaches presser. My boys are warriors. On and off field. By May. Shoulder strapped but spirit whole. We walked quad paths hand in hand. Cap and gown fitted for grad. Dad flew up. Suit pressed. Shaking Carter's hand. Treat him right, kid. Or Pittsburgh Pyragies'll find you. Laughter. Real. Yet humanism's quiet core. Not triumph's roar, but the scars that teach. Carter's NYU nod came, village apartment, poli-sci masters with a queer advocacy track. Me, scout calls warmed, but I chased coaching certs, high school level, building teams that bench hate, not hearts. Summer solstice. We drove the Ford West, Route 66 echoes, diners and dawns, ending at a Grand Canyon overlook, vast and humbling. There, under star-pricked sky, Carter knelt, ring simple, silver band etched against the world. Marry me, Mace, not for optics for us. Tears stung, yes bursting free. We wed that fall in Pittsburgh, small, steel town. Dad officiating via online minister course. Jake best man cracking jokes. Mom's Bible open to love's verses. Vows raw, in hits and halftimes. I choose you. Life unfolded American dream gritty. Carter clerking at a queer rights firm. Me assistant coach at State. Weekends tangled in our Astoria walk-up. Hudson views framing fights and forgives. Betrayals faded to footnotes. Tank's jail stint for priors. Dad Hayes' silence a mercy. Years on. Gray threading temples. We coach a rec league, kids diverse. Dreams uncloseted. One evening. Post-practice. A boy lingers. Coach Riley? That story about you and Coach Hayes. It's why I came out. His grin. Tentative triumph. Carter squeezes my hand. Blue eyes eternal. Worth every blindside. And in that, the human arc. Love not as conquest, but quiet revolution. Dramatic in its depth. Romantic in resilience. A testament that, in America's vast, flawed heart, we all deserve the huddle. Epilogue whispers in the off-seasons of our lives. Those quiet interludes between the roar and the routine, where the real stories etch deepest. By 30, we'd traded dorm duffels for a Brooklyn brownstone, not mansion. Advocacy pays in purpose, not penthouses, and the walls bore framed relics. That SI clipping yellowed at edges, our wedding band shots from a Polaroid booth, a kid's drawing from that rec league boy, now a teen activist with his own op-eds. Carter's climbed steady. Junior partner at the firm, arguing amicus briefs for SCOTUS cases on marriage equality holdouts. His Hamptons drawl softened to a Brooklyn burr but sharp as ever in court. Me, head coach at a city charter school. Inner-city kids with more grit than gear. Turning bodega courts into boot camps where team means family, not facade. Scouts had circled post-state, whispers of CFL or arena leagues, but the hit, Tank's parting shot, left a nerve twinge that said enough. Coaching let me build, not break, pass the torch without the blinders. Dad passed gentle in 32 heart, like Mom's, but with time for goodbyes. We flew back, his hospital room a shrine to us, Steelers mug by the bed, our wedding invite pinned to the curtain. You boys, he rasped, gripping our hands, made an old steelworker believe in rainbows. Eulogy was mine, St. Mary's, steelworkers in pews, queers in pride pins, a bridge no one burned. Carter read Corinthians after, voice steady, love bears all things, endures all things. Betrayal's last echo came unexpected. A decade on Senator Hayes, gaunt in a nursing home, Parkinson's stripping his scalpel smile to tremors. Carter got the call, Mom, frail now, begging closure. We drove up together. The Ford long traded for a Prius hybrid, silence heavy as Jersey Turnpike tolls. The room smelled of antiseptic and regret. Dad propped in a wheelchair, eyes milky but recognizing. Son, croak. Then to me, Mason, no apology, but a file folder slid across the tray legal pads. His scrawl, to Carter Hayes, Scholarship Fund, $500,000. For the boy who taught me loss. Notes on us, clippings he'd hoarded, our SI feature, Carter's briefs, my coaching profile. Watched from afar, he mumbled. Proud. Wrong, but proud. Carter's throat bobbed, hand finding mine under the table. Why now? Time runs out. Legacy's not blood. It's what you leave breathing. We left with hugs. Awkward. Healing, and the fund seeded a youth center. Riley Hayes House. Safe space for LGBTQ kids in the burg. Pierogies at every potluck. Humanism's grace. Forgiveness not forced, but found. In the slow thaw of winters long endured. Our own winters came. Fights over Carter's late nights. My slumps after losses. The ache of no bio kids but a gaggle of God kids crashing holidays. But mornings mended. Coffee black. His head on my chest. Planning the day's drama like old times. Climax revisited in 35. A brutal nor'easter slamming the coast. Our brownstone shuddering under gale force gusts. Power out. Candles guttering. We huddled under quilts. 35 feels like 22 in love's grip. When Carter's phone pinged emergency. A kid from the center. Outed by a coach. Contemplating the bridge. Go, I said, kissing his temple. Save him. He did, drove through whiteout. Talked the boy down with stories of us. Blind sides and breakthroughs. Back at dawn. Snow-plowed streets gleaming. He collapsed into my arms. Echoes of you, Mace. That river night. I held him tighter. The storm's hush a benediction. We made it, and we did through drafts and diagnoses. A minor stroke for me in 40 that left my throwing arm a ghost. Carter's sabbatical to nurse me back with the same ferocity he'd shown in courts. Retirement brought road trips. Yellowstone's geysers. Echoing our canyon vow. Nashville dives. Two-stepping to queer country anthems. Even D.C. Cherry blossoms veiling the hill where his dad once reigned. 50. Gray fully claimed. Mine salt and pepper at the temples. His a silver fox streak we mentored. Adjunct gigs at NYU. Panels on love in the locker room. Books co-authored with dog-eared drafts. One night, post-reading in a village cafe. A fan approached. Tank Harlan. Bulk softened to dad bod. Eyes downcast. Coaches. Saw the center, took my boy there. Oh, you. Everything. Handshake. No more. But redemption's quiet nod. The most dramatic scene, not the kiss. The coming out. The wedding, but a rainy Tuesday in 48. Our brownstone creaking under autumn downpour. Carter. Voice frayed from a losing brief. Slammed the door. What if we peaked? That first year, fire and fury. Now, we're just old queens quoting Springsteen. I pulled him to the kitchen table. Rain lashing panes like accusations. Peaked? Look. Spread photos. Godkid's births. Center groundbreaking. Dad's grave with our flowers eternal. This is the arc. Hayes. Not flash endurance. He softened. Tears mixing with raindrops on the sill. Scared I'll lose you first. Won't happen. I knelt echo of the canyon. Knees protesting but heart sure. Renewing vows impromptu. Against the world. Forever. Laughter bubbled through sobs. Dissolving to kisses that tasted of decades. Salt. Sweet. Sacred. We made love slow on the rug. Bodies mapped familiar. Every scar a story shared. Karmas will turn final in 52. Senator gone. Obituary polite. But his will's codicil. A trust for the center. Anonymous no more. Closure's gift. Humanistic to the end. Now, 60-something. We winter in Florida. Condo with Gulf views. Not for escape but ease on creaky joints. Mornings. Coffee on the balcony. His hand in mine. Watching pelicans dive. Evenings. Rec league Zoom. Coaching from afar. Kids calling us legends. The hook that started it. That dorm door creak. The speechless stare. It's legend now. Retold at firesides to wide-eyed youths. Caught him watching. And the world watched back. But the truth? Love's no plot twist. It's the steady line. Dramatic in devotion. Emotional in every exhale. Romantic in the reach. Humanistic in the hold. In America's grand, groaning tapestry, we wove our thread. Two boys from opposite coasts, blindsided into bliss. And damn if it wasn't worth every yard.